Christmas socks.
Yeah, I'm trying to hide them.
And scratch a little bit. Is the bandana itchy or are you just itchy?
He's just itchy because he needs his allergy meds again.
Tis the season.
We got them. Well, we got off of them because of his stomach problems, and then
Yeah. I was dealing with allergies yesterday where it was like we had to get make sure we got vocal takes that didn't have rasp in them.
Mm-mm.
So it was like, if you have a raspy voice to begin with, like, yeah, cool. But if you don't usually have it, then you probably don't want to have that in your recording.
I don't know.
So.
Sometimes it's cool. Sometimes it's like that, like cool rasp, and you're like, oh yeah, I got the raspiness.
The Phoebe.
Yeah. Then you're like, sometimes it's like, no, thank you.
I mean, I don't think it necessarily sounded bad, but I was just like, yeah, we gotta make sure we don't have that. Oh, it moved. Like, okay. Weird. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well,
but, yeah.
Welcome to the Music Lens podcast with me, Alex Allegra.
And Katie Fee. Hello. How we doing?
You can cut that. Today's episode is very laxed, very just talky, catch up.
Yes.
How's life going? Some current events.
Yeah.
Just some fun news updates of the world.
Yeah. What do you... I have some. You have some. So I guess... I don't know how we want to do this.
I have just like some bit like headlines, not like anything super deep. So
okay. I have I have like two little-ish things and then one like more in depth, I guess, for like new music. I guess I can start with this one and we can kind of go back and forth.
Okay.
When we did our Women's History Month episode, I mentioned the Women in Music and how this year's event hasn't happened yet. And as of recording this, it still hasn't happened. It will be March 29th. So if you're listening to this when this comes out, it will be like this coming weekend if you listen the same, like in the first couple days of this coming out.
Yeah.
But I got like an email from Billboard with the graphic that lists like everybody who's getting something. So I figured we can just kind of go down the line and just say who's getting what. And maybe we'll see what happens as far as that event goes. If there's anything of note that we want to bring up later, we can do that as well. But Doechie's getting Woman of the Year. And I did like a Tuesday News Day for that as well. So there is like a more in-depth article if you go to our, what do you call it? Instagram story highlights. That's where you'll get the link part of that post, since like Instagram doesn't like links and captions, which is kind of annoying, but it's fine. Group of the Year is, should have looked up how to say these names. It's Aespa, Aespa.
Okay.
I don't know who that is. Breakthrough is Angela Aguilar. Icon, Erica Badu. I really should have looked up how to say names. Powerhouse is Glorilla. I know how to say that one. Songwriter of the Year, Gracie Abrams. Global Force, Jenny. Rule Breaker, Megan Maroney. Hitmaker, Megan Trainor. Rising Star, Mooney Long. Impact Award, Tyla. And then Laverne Cox is hosting this event. So, which I think... I think it's like second or something time hosting. I want to say that was the same for last year. So
what is the event? Is it like a performance they each like perform? Is it like an honorary speech kind of thing? Like, is it a dinner? Gala
I can't remember how it... I don't think I've ever actually like watched the full event before, so I can't remember. I would think there's performances.
Yeah.
The only things I've seen of it in the past are when Taylor's been part of it and like her speech, and then I think Billie Eilish might have like shouted her out or something when she won. And so there was clips of that online and stuff. So really all I've seen are from like clips.
What was Megan Trainor's?
Megan was Hitmaker.
That seems surprising.
Okay. I guess I'm not aware of pop charts as much, so I don't know where she's at with those. I just know that I've seen her on TikTok a lot.
Yeah, but
Megan Maroney is a rule breaker, so we got one country
I saw Megan was
artist,
on there, and I was happy for her. I was like, oh, yeah.
Country artist representative there, so.
Especially because I feel like she's doing, like, she was someone that was so branded, and she could have ridden that brand that she had all the way, and, like, it would have been fun and good, but, like, she's doing something different right now, and I'm like, I don't even recognize her without her big poof on top of her head, so it's, like, really weird to just, like, see her. I'm like, oh, that's Megan. But she's doing so well. So yeah. I was like, okay, so maybe Rule Breaker makes sense for that, but...
Yeah, I saw her do, she, like, took a shot on stage and then made a really weird face after, like, it hit her. At first, it was like, oh, she took that well. And then, like, she got back up to the mic and then was like, like, it took a second for it to hit. And I was just like, yeah, same. I would not like that. I went and found the article real quick to see if there was any other information as far as the event. Doechii won Rising Star Award in 2023, so she was Rising Star first 2 years ago, and now she's Woman of the Year. So that's cool that there's like a rise of growth there. Mm-hmm. And she's the third woman to progress from Rising Star Award to Woman of the Year, following Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande. So wow. Okay. There's only been 3 of them that have gotten both awards. So that's cool. But yeah, I don't know like too much of her outside of what I learned with like the Grammy Awards. But I mean, that sounds right to me to have her as Woman of the Year just based off of the Grammy Awards and learning about her through that. So. Yeah. I agree with that. I think that's a good choice.
Is Group of the Year a K-pop group? That's what it sounds like, or
girl group? Yeah, South Korean girl group. I'm don't not really listen K-pop to K-pop fan, I'm not gonna lie. So.
Yeah, but I know iHeartRadio has done like at least on the radio station I listen to here because it's the only pop station in Nashville. They have like K-pop hour, like and they'll do like a bunch of K-pop artists,
just like for an hour instead of having them like. Weaved throughout the rest.
Okay, but I guess like it's like one DJ does like I don't know. It's like if late enough at night where it's like, you know, sometimes like on the weekends they'll have a DJ come in and like do a bunch of remixes for songs. It's like in that kind of a space.
Interesting.
During the week.
Interesting. Okay.
But I don't know which day it is. I just know sometimes I'm driving home and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But speaking of iHeartRadio.
But yes, go ahead into the next.
The iHeartRadio awards, I'm sorry, they were awful this year. Absolutely awful. I was like, there was so much hype leading up to it, but I honestly forgot on the weekend of. Like, it seemed like it kind of went dark on social media, like, the weekend of. And I was like, okay, I guess they're happening right now. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then they started, and all I'm getting on coverage wise is like normally red carpets, you get everyone who's walking the red carpet. Yeah. And I literally only saw JoJo Siwa, and then it was a bunch of like meme reels of JoJo's outfits and people like sitting behind her because of her giant hairdo. And
we're gonna look her up while you talk.
Yeah. And it was like, okay. And then I was like, who else? Like Taylor's supposed to be getting this huge award. Like, and then I'm like looking at their Instagram and I'm like, they have like 5 or 6 videos of people on the carpet, and then like Lady Gaga backstage, and then something else. And I'm like, did Taylor even walk the carpet? Is she even there? And then I was like, I guess she's just not even there. And then I was just driving.
Like a wreath?
Yeah, it's weird.
Interesting. Okay.
And then I get to like, I was driving and I just turned on the radio because that's what comes on in my car.
Yeah.
And they have the awards playing live. And Ant's going crazy because of the thunder, yeah. Okay. And it just so happens that I'm, like, listening around the time that the Taylor Award comes on.
Yeah.
So I'm just, like,
and
gets a little nervous with the thunderstorms. And there is one outside right now.
And he's back down.
I'll figure it out.
All right. Anyways.
Okay. Sorry.
You were listening right when Taylor's award happened.
And Yeah, and I just heard the speech, and then just that mirror ball started playing. So it wasn't even the fun part of that first night. It wasn't Tim McGraw, which is what everyone thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, it was very underwhelming. So then I was like, okay, that was underwhelming. And then the fact that, like, no one showed up to, like, literally.
Kelsey was there.
Kelsey was there, yes. But
her dress was shiny.
Let's be real here. Nothing against Lady Gaga and Kelsey Ballerini, because they're amazing and I love them. But, like, JoJo Siwa was the person that you were raving about all night being there. Like, you have kind of a lackluster house, let me just say.
Yeah.
And Kelsey was only there to present an award.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and I think Lady Gaga performed. But I'm like, honestly, who else performed? And this is supposed to be iHeartRadio. So either radio is really dead that, like, no one's even showing up to this, or something happened. I was like, why didn't Taylor show up? That was a little surprising.
I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that was, but I kind of figured she wouldn't be there because they're like, oh, we're gonna, like, play a performance from the Eras Tour. So that made it seem like, well, why would they just play one if she was going to be in attendance?
I just assumed it was because it was something unique and different and special.
Yeah, but I guess, like, also because the award was for the tour, I guess it makes sense. But if she was there live, they could have just kind of, like, it'd have to be, like, down to a smaller scale just because of how big that stage is, because it's stadium shows, but some sort of, like, of one of the songs.
But, like, no one was talking about the iHeartRadio Awards the next day. I also was like, almost every single acceptance speech that I saw, 21 Pilots, Teddy Swims, Taylor, was all filmed. So, like, no one was even there to accept the awards. Like,
yeah,
it was embarrassing almost. I was just like, what the heck? Like, why even have the award show? Like, it was a little weird. So that was my take on the iHeartRadio Awards that happened.
There's not even really any articles being, like, a recap of, like, highlights or anything.
No, when they showed the audience, it looked empty. Like, it was weird.
Yeah.
It was very weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't pay attention to it. Like, I knew there was going to be something with Taylor, and that would be, like, the only reason for me, honestly, to, like, even pay attention. But I was like,
which is, I think,
fine.
what they were trying to do was to get everyone.
And they were teasing it stuff too, because they posted something about, well, this was after the fact, but her acceptance speech, there's a necklace that she's wearing that looks similar to one in the Look What You Made Me Do music video. So they were, like, teasing of, like, oh, is that an Easter egg for Rep TV? And I'm like, you're just, like, playing with people.
But then so many people are trying to, like, make this into some big thing. I genuinely think that the award show really just meant nothing, and it was like, that was it. And that's why she gave us what she gave us, was to say a thank you for the tour kind of a thing, and that she loves the fans, and that's it.
Someone made a joke that she, like, because it's iHeart Radio Music Awards, that she would be like, I Heart ? Lead single off debut Taylor's version. And I was like, I like that connection. I know it's not actually happening, but I do like that connection there of the two names being similar. But yeah, I figured if anything, it would be a documentary for the tour, because that's what she was getting awarded for. And they did, like, professional filming for the last weekend of the tour, and we still haven't seen that yet. So that's something that will happen at some point, I'm sure. We just don't know when.
Yeah.
But
so it was but it was
yeah. Let's see. I guess I could do new music next.
Okay.
So Anna Voss had her debut album come out on this past Friday, so March 21st. It's called Downhill From Here. And we've talked about it a little bit with, like, some of the songs that came out. When did we talk about it? Was it, I think, just Happy Trails and Trace of You were out when we talked about it, and how she's been, like, creating this with her fiance Kevin and their cat Harry, and how he's credited. And I found, like, one of her posts about the album leading up to the release and wrote down what she said. So She said that she felt pressure to change my sound to fit into a box that made me more palatable as an artist. I felt like the message was if I didn't change to fit the mold, it was all downhill from here. So that's kind of the idea of the title.
I was wondering because it's a very like negative sounding title for
Right.
a very happy and like positive outlook of an album.
The next thing she says, like, downhill is the best part of the bike ride because you got like the wind and your hair's flying back and it's like the fun part. So she kind of took that into a happier, like more positive outlook kind of way. And so that's kind of where the title track comes from. But there's 8 tracks, so it is a shorter album. But she kind of has decided that her sound is called Laurel Canyon Country.
I've seen that, yeah.
And I haven't looked up where Laurel Canyon is. I'm assuming that's like probably around San Diego where she's from.
I was gonna say, I think that's where she was born. Yeah.
It's a smaller town that she's from, but like that area. But there's like nature and travel elements that I like with it. And there's bird sounds in Canyon Child, and Smoke with a Cowboy starts with thunder and rain in it. So I like that there's like the nature elements, but then like
One, she has a song lyrically, called Scenic Route. So.
Yeah, lyrically, there's like a lot of nature and a lot of travel things too. So that's something I don't really do it as much as I used to, but I used to write more nature and travel-esque stuff. So I appreciate it when I hear other people do it. I love each song. My only thing that I was curious about was the track order, because I've noticed that the first 3 songs of the album are like the most up-tempo ones, and then it's more like mellow, I guess. Not necessarily a ballad, but just more mellow.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if there was like an intention behind that, or if that was just an unconscious thing that she didn't realize she did with it. But I kind of wonder what it would be like if those were spread out a little more. But overall, it's a good album, so y'all should check it out. I got the vinyl. I'm getting it eventually. I pre-ordered it. It will come at some point here soon, hopefully. But yeah, I just wanted to support her because I guess, are acquaintances, I would say, because we don't know each other super well, but know each other through Belmont and such, and supporting independent artists. So I was like, I'll get the physical copy, and it's cool that it's vinyl, so I can actually play it unlike CDs. So, yeah. Have you listened to it at all yet, or?
I've seen some like TikToks with her using the sound, but I haven't listened to it yet. Same with Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco also released their album. I feel like that was a quick turnaround. I was like,
I haven't listened to that. I honestly only knew about it because Taylor made a post about it, and I was like, Taylor posted, and then it was just that.
Well, I follow Selena. I've always loved Selena Gomez. I feel like she's a big inspiration for my sound as well. So from like the Disney days. So like, and I feel like I relate more closely to like her as like the good girl from Disney kind of thing. Especially, well, I guess earlier in her career and stuff. Okay. And then,
I don't think she really
differently now, but
she didn't really have any type of like transition. Like she wasn't like Miley, where it was
that's
like,
what I mean.
Oh my
She's
god,
always
like
been the good girl kind of esque-ness, but like she does it in such like a elegant way that like, and it's not like perceived in any way. It's just like she is who she is, and like that's what I want. And like I hate the label of like the good girl versus like the wild child type stars that come out like she's never made it like uncomfortable, and like she's like put herself in that box, which I really like. So she's just always been to herself, which is I really like about her. So.
I mean, those who have gone like wild child like are themselves too. That's just how they reacted and dealt with like the trauma that comes with being a child star. So I don't fault them at all.
I always wanted to be a child star, and I always regret it, but I honestly think the mental health struggles that I have had in my early 20s, I wouldn't have put it past me to like really done something stupid in my 20s too. So I get it.
I was just like, because like obviously being a fan of Taylor and how she was like begging her parents to go move to Nashville at like 12, like I knew that was a thing people did, but I consciously was like, no, I want to wait till I graduate high school so I can have a normal childhood. So I had that conscious decision of being like, I'm not going to try and convince my parents to move or anything. I'm just going to enjoy childhood while I can. But also, I mean, I still like played and wrote and stuff. I just didn't want to move anywhere and pursue it quite yet.
No, I always wanted to. Anywho, not to get into the deep childhood traumas there, but no, I haven't listened to Selena Gomez's album. I think it's really cute that her and Benny, like, because they've always been writing together, obviously, but like, I think it's cute that they like made this project together now that they're engaged, and it's just like, it's really sweet. And she has Sunset Boulevard was like, oh my gosh, and I put it on. I mentioned it somewhere on a post or something that I did, and I was just like, okay, Selena.
Okay.
But I'm excited to like listen to the rest of it. So
yeah. Oh, you didn't have other things. No. Oh, did you want to talk about how everyone's just popping up downtown?
Oh yeah. I don't know what's going on in Nashville lately, but apparently it's just like it's becoming the getaway. So like Ed Sheeran showed up at Tootsie's, and then apparently he's been in town writing his album, which I wouldn't put it past him if he recorded in the same studio that I knew some other people have been. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which makes sense because I feel like Ed Sheeran comes here actually quite a lot, and when he came for his tour that I went with Brayden to, he went to Santa's Pub afterwards and sang karaoke. So apparently he just comes and goes to Santa's Pubs all the time, and just people just don't realize it. Kind
and he
of
just
a
happened
thing.
To go to Tootsie's
but this time everyone posted about it because he was downtown at Tootsie's.
He had a pink cowboy hat.
Yeah. And then Kendall Jenner was showing up, and no one talked about why she was there. Just
I'm
that
pretty
she was
sure it was for
there.
her alcohol.
It was. I looked it up. So
I think it was at Casa Rosa.
And it was at Casa, and she was just promoting that. But like that one was the most random one. I was like, okay.
That's fair. Yeah, and then Garth and Trisha showed up at Garth's bar, which I think might have been somehow tied to the Opry 100 thing. I think it was the same night that was recorded or aired, because I think it was live. But that was at the Opry House, which is not downtown, so I don't know why they decided let's go downtown to the bar after, but they're like cheering, he's going, as he's like pouring, there's cups just lined up, and he's pouring alcohol in all of them, and then Friends in Low Places started, and it's just the intro arpeggio thing, and Trisha's like, I know this song. And so they were singing that as they're pouring, and it was very interesting. And of course he's just like casual in a hoodie, because I feel like every time you see him, he's just literally just like in dad uniform, just a hoodie.
He was like that even so when Katie and I first moved to town for Belmont, we saw him pop up like everywhere, and he was like so scruffy beard, a hoodie that probably he's lived in for a little bit, and like sweatpants or jeans.
Very casual.
It was very funny.
Well, we went to that what was it? Some sort of artist development thing at the Factory in Franklin, and Jared Demon? Was it Jared Demon was speaking about how he went over to Garth Brooks' house to write with him, and he opened the door in like a Mickey Mouse shirt or something, and it was very casual. So he definitely is just like that guy where he looks like just a normal person. I mean, because artists are normal people. But
no, I know, but he's like the big king of country, and it's just like he's so casual, and I feel like it's just probably he's older in age now and just like can be completely that way. But
there was someone that showed up somewhere, and someone posted that they met them just running into them somewhere, and someone commented and was like, this just proves that if I ever meet anyone famous out in the wild, like I would not even recognize them and like know to ask for a picture or anything, because they just wouldn't realize it, just because if they're not all dressed up in the way that you're used to seeing them when they are in concert or like a show or something, like they just look like normal people.
It's kind of like when you see somebody at work outside of work and you don't recognize them because you're just used to seeing them in one setting. I feel like that's why country artists, especially the guys, can get recognized a little bit more out in public, is because they like country artists especially just don't really have an extra persona. Like, they look
Yeah,
very much like how they are, so
they'll not necessarily, like, the guys, I guess, don't dress up too much on stage. It might just be a difference of, like, a hat. If they're maybe typically in a cowboy hat on stage, but then they either don't have a hat or a baseball hat when they're just out in public, things like that.
Or if you have just a very unique look, like, sometimes it's just, like, you just know, but... But there's plenty of people, like, I feel like actors are, like, the most, like, very different than you see them on the screen kind of a thing. Yeah. So even though they are, like, also very plain fronted, but I don't know. That one's always the weird one for me.
Yeah. That's a good comparison, though, because I know I've had coworkers, like, come in when they're not working, and if they're out of uniform, I'm like, wait a minute, and just have to do a double take to be like, I know you.
That's how it is with one of my friends, one of my coworkers' friends. She came in the other day with puppies, and I, like, did not recognize her unless she's with the coworker, and then I'm like, oh, it's her.
Like, I've done it, too, where, like, if I'm playing downtown, I've stopped into work and people will, like, do a double take with me too because I'm out of uniform and they're not used to having me, like, dressed up and carrying a guitar. So they're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, hey, don't worry about it. Just ignore me. I'm here.
I have one more headline thing and then Katie can do hers. But
I was going to say mine's kind of tied into downtown, though.
Okay, no, that's fine.
It's not going to be something I guess you can see because I'm going to show Alex something here. But Jelly Roll had his bar opening like end of February, I want to say. It's called Goodnight Nashville. It's close to 3rd and Broadway. It's like next to Kid Rock's and like near the Moxie rooftop because the Moxie rooftop used to have windows where you can see out to the Nissan Stadium, and Jelly Roll's bar blocked it, so they weren't too happy about that. But I've heard that the stage, like, it's just really not musician forward. Like, they didn't think about the musicians when they created it.
That's surprising because he did a whole bunch of, like, residency type shows at that, like, for the first 2 nights of the bar being open. I know my work, like, did a bunch in that space and, like, he put on a concert or two.
So I saw a post in one of the musician Facebook groups saying Jelly Roll's main stage just got even worse. Good luck, fellow drummers. The disrespect is real. And then it said to, like, check out this guy's story for the drummer's view, and someone put it in the comments. And since Sam's a drummer, I, like, screen recorded it and sent it to him. So I have the screen recording. So hang on till it gets to the actual video. But basically, they have the drummer up on the mezzanine level instead of on the main level with the rest of the band. So the drummer is up above everybody else, which makes it hard to do any type of cues and things like that.
Yeah. So maybe they thought it was like we're putting the drummer on display kind of a thing, and like it was supposed to be a good thing, but that's weird.
Yeah, because I mean drummers are used to being like kind of hidden in the back, but the band needs to be able to communicate with the drummer because they're the ones keeping the beat. So they need to be able to signal when you're like, you know, if a song has a part where everyone stops and then you have to cue back in and things like that, you got to be able to communicate while you're on stage. And having the drummer on a completely different level of the bar, how are you doing that? Like, you got to look up like, hey, can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've just been hearing a lot of bad stuff from musicians about Jelly Roll's bar and just like the setup of it. I haven't personally been in it to like look around and see anything, but I've just heard it's not the best setup. So I've also heard non-music related, but I have heard people say they don't like the merch. So
oh, really?
I was like, oh, okay, sorry, that's nothing to do with me. So can't help you there.
That is surprising though, especially because you're right next to Kid Rock, and Kid Rock is a tough bar to compete with on that strip. Like, it's a very popular one, so it's like if you're gonna put anything on it, especially Jelly, like Jelly you would assume would be a really good bar too. So like that's just kind of, I think that's why too I always say like Eric Church's bar I think is the most underrated one on that strip.
It's so good.
It is so good.
I love it so much.
But it
I
is
love that there's a
small, I will
venue.
say.
It is small, but I think it's partially because they have a venue built into it too.
Yeah.
So then that takes up a couple floors of it. But I still need to see the neon steeple. That's what it's called. And I want to go into it at some point. But yeah, it looks cool since it's kind of like inspired by the Ryman with the stained glass. And it's kind of hard to look at the stained glass from the street. So I want to be able to look on the inside and look at all the different artists that are in the stained glass.
Oh, okay.
Because I can tell when they're still like painting and stuff, I would like stare at it while I was playing on the Moxie rooftop, and I'm like, okay, I see Johnny Cash, I see Prince, because there's purple background, so that's pretty easy. But there's others where you have to kind of look closer to figure out who they are. So I need to go in there and look. But yeah, I want to get back to Chiefs at some point. Oh, Eric Church had a new song come out, so that's another new music thing. And it took me a second. I was like, I like the vibe of this, but it took me till the second verse to start understanding what he was saying lyric-wise. And I'm like, buddy, enunciate a little better. So I had to look up and read the lyrics, and he had a video that he posted explaining the backstory of the song, and I think that helped too, just understanding that. But it's called Hands of Time, and I mean, he talks about how he's getting older and how there's different things that make you feel young still even as you're aging, and basically how that's just like music, so references to different music songs and all that. But I like it. I like the song, and he has an album out May 2nd, so I'm excited for that. That one's short too. I don't remember how many songs, but I think it's only like 9 or something. So
Okay. That's
it's
a
on
quick
the shorter
turnaround
side
too,
too.
for one single and then new album right away.
Well, he had Darkest Hour come out when the Hurricane Helene hit. So that one's been out for a while, and I think that's on there too. It got leaked, and so they had to like work to announce it because of the leak, but I appreciated that they kept the theme and how they worded things. And so they said something about like a glitch in the machine, because the album is called Evangeline versus the Machine. So kept with the branding and everything. 8 songs. Okay. Yeah. And Darkest Hour is on there, Hands of Time. Johnny, he played at CRS, so I've heard that one already. But produced by Jay Joyce again, so he's still working with Jay Joyce. Joanna is on the 2 that are out so far, so Joanna's still with them too. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, and last
Yeah.
little headline. This was a very casual episode, as you can tell. It's also probably going to be a shorter episode, which is fine.
That's okay. We're just chit-chatting, catching up with music things.
But Sabrina Carpenter's short and sweet album becomes the first with 4 pop airplay #1 since Taylor Swift's 1989.
Okay.
I just figured that would be a good little
So
headline. There has been a lot less like big headline news, but she is still doing well.
What are the 4? Espresso, please, 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 taste.
And
Is it Dolly version of please, please, please?
maybe, or Bedchem.
Bedchem. Is that on radio?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that one was a single. I just thought it was popular because it's a
on
good
the
song.
radio. Yeah, I hear it on the radio. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. I guess
My underrated song on that album is still Good Graces. I still want to dance to it. Like
Good
in dance
Graces.
class, I want Good Graces really badly. I think it would just be such a great song. So
Yeah. I guess it's probably more rare to do that nowadays, just because of they don't really typically do that many singles on an album.
Well,
It's
clearly,
like, move to the
especially if
next one.
iHeartRadio, the awards are down the shitter. Like, apparently, music on the radio is just not a thing anymore.
It's not the same as like it's been a while since I read Shania Twain's autobiography, but she talked about her albums, and the majority of the album would end up being singles because they would just keep picking songs to be singles until the momentum died down, and then it's like, okay, now it's time for a new project.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's how, honestly, I feel like that's how Taylor's 1989 was. And then after that, it was just such a different version of her. And then the music industry changed shortly after that it was like,
right.
It makes sense. So.
Yeah. Because The Woman in Me, which is Shania's second album, because the first one didn't do as well, so this was like the first like big one for her, had 8 singles. Come On Over had 12. I'm just like curious. 8 for Up. So those are like her 3 big albums, and they had at minimum 8 singles for each album. So yeah, that's a lot. Compared to today, where it's like maybe 2 or 3, but I guess 4 is kind of the peak of it, if that's the record for Sabrina getting that many.
I would love to do, maybe we could do it in the future, but like a one-hit wonder kind of an episode of like, because I feel like today's one-hit wonders are like the name of the game right now, unless you're an established artist kind of a thing, like, well, to get momentum at the beginning kind of a thing.
I mean, the goal isn't to be a one-hit wonder.
No, but I feel like that's what the market is right now. It's very like,
there's a lot of artists where it's like you get one song and then it's kind of hard to get a second one after that, so you kind of die down after that. I did a TikTok just like recording myself talking about The Giver, of how like there's very much Shania influence sounds in The Giver, but I also made the connection of the music video for it, how Chapel has like all these different occupations that she's dressed up as, and Shania has a song called She's Not Just a Pretty Face, and that's just like listing all these different jobs that women have. And so I was like, I don't know if that was on purpose, but I like that connection too, that parallel between them. So that was just a random fact that I just thought of because of the bringing up Shania. But she had a interview, I haven't listened to it, but she had an interview with Kelly Bannon over at Apple Music.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that's cool that she's getting in the country space as far as like getting interviews for it too, because I know that there's always going to be people who hate on non-country artists putting out country music, and there's so many who have dipped their toes in country lately that they're like, stop it. And like, no, you don't have to stop it, let them. That should be a compliment to country music, that people are inspired by it and want to put out something in that genre.
So. A lot, what I've gotten from the people a little higher up in the country field is that it is more of, they just want you to like kind of play the game down here a little bit and like meet like genuinely have face-to-face connections with people that are already in the industry and making waves for themselves within country music, instead of just like stomping all over it and not trying to, because country music is such like a family based system here. So
I guess that might be why Post Malone's so well received, because he took the time to be in Nashville and he's collaborated with everybody. So
and
he's
he
really
lived here 2 years before he started making country music.
And he's really like been embraced by the family of country music, because he even got to do the Opry, and I think he was at the Opry 100 event too. So he's like, I feel like the main one that's been embraced of the many that have done country. But I don't see what's wrong with it, because that can help expand the genre's audience too, because there's people who don't give country a chance because they just like think of the stereotypes with it. And they're like, I don't want to listen to that. But then when they hear an artist do a song where they're used to like a pop artist, and then they do a country song, they might be like, oh, I actually kind of like this sound with the fiddles and the banjos and things like that.
I mean, that's how I always was whenever I would play songs in high school for people. They were always like, wow, I don't like country music, but I really like your stuff.
I remember I would pick the country channel to play at work when I was at the ice cream shop, and I was like shift manager, because I was in charge of radio if I was shift manager. and some coworkers wouldn't care for it. And then one day, one of them was like, Katie, I like country music now. And it was because of Body Like a Back Road. And I was like, okay. Like, yes, it is country, but it is like a very pop-leaning country. So I was like, I mean, whatever gets your foot in the door, maybe this will like make you want to listen to more country other than just the Sam Hunt song. So,
Sam Hunt was good,
but we love Sam Hunt. Yes, I'm still sad that his 2020 tour got canceled and we didn't get to go. Yeah. So if there's anything in music that you want to chit chat with us about, we can do it in the comments or an email. You can email us at themusiclenspodcast@gmail.com or comment on this video if you are watching on YouTube. Follow us on other socials at The Music Lens Podcast. You can follow Alex at Alex Allegro Music. Keep an eye out. She's doing her rebranding and posting some new stuff right now. So I want to keep an eye out for what's going on with that with her. And then at Katie Fee Music for myself. I have one song out. I'm working on more. So keep an eye out for that as well. And we will see you next time. Bye.